Welcome to Builders, Budgets, and Beers. I'm Reece Barnes, and I started this podcast to have real conversations about money in the building industry, the wins, the mistakes, and everything in between. I believe builders deserve to feel confident about their finances, and that starts by hearing from others who've been through it too. This industry can be slow to change, but the right stories and the right tools can make profitability feel possible. Let's get into it. Right, mics are hot. Suman, we're rolling.
Awesome.
We're rolling.
I'm ready.
I love it. This is gonna be a great episode. I'm super excited. Suman, if you have listened to episodes, you know that I always like to start with giving the audience, the listeners, a little idea of who they're going to be hearing from today. So if you could give them a little introduction on yourself, what you do, your background, just keep it simple. We can start there.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, hi, I'm Suman Cherry. I am the CEO and founder of Cherry Talent Group, which is a consulting recruiting company. So my background is in recruiting. I've been doing recruiting for about 25 years. I started off in doctors.
Okay.
I worked with doctors to start with, and I worked in oil and gas for a number of years. And over the last 8 years, I've been primarily working in construction. Most of my background was more based in the traditional recruiting, contingent based, where you just pay the fee at the end. But during COVID, I sort of said, I'm so sick of recruiting. Like I got just fed up with the whole up and down. It just didn't feel like it was very transactional. So I took a break and I did all this work on myself. I started working on my own self and my traumas and all these things. I know, it was amazing. And I was going to be a life coach. I went and got all this life coaching certifications. I'm like, this is my new career. And then I had a client that reached out and said, hey, would you want to help us recruit in a different way, like hourly based? And I was like, well, I've never done that before. So I did. And it was a completely different experience. So that was about 4 years ago. And now I've built a business around that. So it's kind of evolved in a place where we do most of our work in the construction industry, general contracting and luxury home builders all over the country. We help them identify the right people, but we take it a step further. We're very consultative based. So we're very direct. We're very honest. There's no fee at the end. You just pay for our time.
And that's what I wanted to touch on. So, because most traditionally it's like, there's like a headhunter fee, right? Or like a finder fee.
Right.
And they find the recruiter finds them, and then they get them in front of the client, and then the client interviews them, and they decide yes, no. And then at the end, you pay like what? There's like a month or 2 months of what their salary would be, probably more than that.
You pay like 20 to 25% of their first year salary.
Okay. So
$100,000 candidates typically around $25,000 spent.
Okay. So man, I mean, getting into recruiting sounds pretty lucrative. But so you shifted that and you're on the hourly side. And that makes a lot of sense, especially with you taking a consultative approach. So what does that relationship actually mean? And frankly, just for the listeners, Suman and I met at the Contractor Coalition Summit, which you should all go to. And if you want a 20% discount, you can use the Adaptive 25 promo code. But we met at the show, and Suman is not lying by any sense of the word. Very consultative, very much problem solutions first. So I want to hear a little bit like, what does the actual process look like for you when you start working with a contractor, identifying the role they might need? What does that look like? Go through what that hourly would look like for them.
Yeah, so it is very consultative based because, I mean, anyone can hire, right? Anyone can throw a resume up on Indeed or LinkedIn and then screen through those candidates. But our process is very different because our process starts with that initial profile call where we're not just looking at a job description. We're looking at what's the pain and how is this person going to solve that? Is this a growth pain? Is it a capacity pain? Because it's typically the similar things. And then we work with our clients to really create a marketing piece that actually is going to call out to the right candidates, right? We don't want these pieces that have like every bit of information. It's like, what do you really need? And what are those values you need? Our model is based in core value because our feeling is skills are important, ability is important, right? You have to have a basic, they have to have certain skills, but you can't teach value in people. So we really focus on, when we're interviewing, our process is all based in emotional EQ. Are they responsive versus reactive? Are they humble? Are they motivated and hungry for your job? Are they just looking for a job? And do they have that ability piece? So our process is we work with We do that profile call. It's very consultative. We create that job description, really highlighting who they are as an organization. And then we obviously post it. But what our other side is, we do a lot of passive. So we're very, very headhunter based as well. We get a list of competitors who wants to be in the market, and we spend our time looking for the right talent. Our interview process is a 2-tier process. So we do an initial screening with every candidate, but we invite everyone in for a Zoom interview. So we see people face to face in that Zoom interview, and we're looking for specific things. We're looking for people. Can people make eye contact? Do they have good questions? I mean, just really, do they show up on time?
Character traits.
Like, really, do they show up for on time? Yeah, I mean, just exactly character traits. And then once they kind of go through that process, then we can either do an assessment, because we have the ability to do assessments. So some of our clients are asking us to do like deeper assessments to kind of match that up. And then the other pieces, we just send them over, and we have a submission form. We record every single conversation as well. We record everything. So everything's transcripted and documented. So if there's ever discrepancy around the salary, which happens sometimes, we want to make sure that we're truth tellers. Like, our model is truth. We are not salespeople. We are matchmakers. We step in, we give our recommendations. We're honest, direct. If a client has unrealistic expectations, they want this and they want to pay this, it's not realistic. So we have to have those conversations. Our job is to fill your role with the right person. And sometimes that right person isn't always what you think it's going to be. It tends to be different than what you think.
And that's one piece that you mentioned at the very beginning, was like setting down with the client and understanding what they actually need, and help them put together a job description and help them find that clarity. I want you to touch on that on a couple of different pieces. First, like, could builders just like work with you guys from like a beginning standpoint on like structuring job descriptions? But the second, like, how much of a problem do you see that being in the space of builders not having clear job descriptions and understanding of who they need? I ask because I hear it all the time. Like, I hear like 10, 15, $20 million a year businesses not have job descriptions. Those be like, I just need to hire a project manager. It's like, well, what are the expectations of this role? And they're like, well, for them to manage projects. Right. And it's like, but they don't have that level of clarity, and that's where they seem to struggle. So that's where my question's coming from. I guess, could they actually work with you to build out job descriptions? Obviously, with you guys wanting to go through with the full agreement. But the second is how much of a problem do you see that being in the market?
Yeah, I mean, we have another side to our business as well. Because what we've realized, and I've realized for myself as well, is it is about having the right job description, but there also needs to be SOPs and structure around that as well, right? So we can go into that first. But yes, we will sit down with our clients and we have an imagine session, right? Like, it's like, who is the ideal person? Let's really talk about it, because a lot of times everyone wants the unicorn, and the job description, like you were talking about the job descriptions, it's not one position. It's like 5 positions all rolled into one. It's like, let's really understand what this is, right? Yes, it's a problem. The job description thing is absolutely a problem. It's a marketing piece. It needs to be captivating, so someone will look at it and be like, I can do that. I want to do that, right? Versus it being this very long 3-page thing, which just, is it even true? Is it even real? So job descriptions are so important, but what's more important is the client is on board with what they need. And then when we go out and talk to those candidates, we can really, this is their pain. This is what how can you solve that? How have you solved this with other companies? What expertise are you going to bring in? Because ultimately you want is a candidate who's better at things than you have at your organization to be able to move up to the next level. That is the only other way. You don't need workers, you need capacity. You need leadership. You need people who can bring in out of the box ideas and have dealt with more complicated things than you've done within your organization, so you can go the next level. And so it is a problem. Like, I see it all the time with companies as well, $20 million companies who don't have any structure, practices, no onboarding, no SOPs, they don't even know what they're supposed to be doing when they walk in the door. And it's all in the owner's heads. It's always in the owner's heads, but like, it needs to be actually.
Can you work with someone? And also, by the way, like, you don't need workers, you need capacity. That needs on a t-shirt. That was perfect. It needs on your website if it's not. But like, can you work with someone who's like, yeah, Suman, I need help hiring a project manager. like help me find them. And you're like, okay, we go through the imagination session, and then you're downloading and understanding their business, and they don't have any standard operating procedures, they don't have any process. Can you work with them, or do you turn them away?
Oh, yeah. No, we absolutely can. We work with a lot of businesses that are in their first or
Cool.
second years. I mean, that is part of the process. And we have clients that don't have them in their
Yeah.
like in their 10th year. Typically what happens is most of those clients, we end up
Cool.
helping them because we want to educate. Like finding a candidate is one thing, but how do you keep them? How do you keep them engaged, and how do you build trust with that new candidate? How do you bring that employee in? It's so important. So we help a lot of our clients with that. And because we're priced, I don't want to say it's affordable, but we're just priced more in a place that's more attainable. We're not paying $25,000 every time
Right,
you fill
right.
a position, right? We give flexibility to our clients and what they need. And a lot of our clients we help with both sides of it, honestly, because it is
Right.
both sides that are so
Totally.
important.
Totally. No, I think that's great. Now, in terms of like, what do you when you so okay, so you work with like a lot of $20 million businesses that don't have these
Mhm.
SOPs. You work with a lot of early businesses that don't have these SOPs. And that's obviously like the
Mhm.
backbone of like understanding what you actually need help with in the business. What do you think keeps builders from having that clarity of the job description, of the process, of what they need individuals in their organization to do, or future individuals to do?
Honestly, I think
Share.
it's fear. I think it's fear of the unknown. I think it's fear of change, and I think it's the overwhelmment of what they think it's gonna take. They know. I mean, every single company we talk to is like, "I know I need this. I know I need an EOS. I know I need these things." But it's like they don't have the capacity to do it because they don't have the right people to help them do it, and they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to structure, they don't know how to do that with all the other responsibilities they have. They know it's so important, but it's one of those things where they just don't prioritize it because I think it's overwhelming to imagine to do it. You know what I mean? I think it's overwhelming for people, and I think there's
So how
fear
do they
as
overcome
well.
that fear, or how do they avoid it?
Well, I think if you avoid it, you're gonna have your best people are gonna leave. I mean, so when people don't talk about like, okay, I why do I need it so badly? Avoiding it isn't going to make it go away as a problem. So not having it is going to force the people you have in your organization that do have a lot of capacity, are amazing. They're going to end up leaving because they're going to feel like it's chaotic because you don't have structure, you have chaos. And then I think the other piece is that what was the other part of the question? I'm sorry. Like I
How do
lost
you
my train of thought.
avoid it, or how do you prevent the fear or overcome the fear?
You just take the
So
action.
it's having this fear on Monday, waking up on Tuesday and saying, I'm gonna make this a priority. And I
Yeah.
think
I mean, that's the other thing, right?
I totally agree with you. I did a podcast with Victor Ryback. It's going to be dropping here shortly. And it was kind of like a similar situation for Victor. I mean, Victor started a tile company and zero process, zero procedure, got to the point to where he wanted to start focusing on remodeling and home building. And he actually ended up selling the tile company to one of his employees that he still uses today. But he's like kind of seen in this last 6 to 8 months, like this awakening in his business journey because he's taken the process and procedure into consideration. And he's like, every time that I'm trying to do something that I need someone else to do, I just sit down and I do a loom or whatever he does. And he like go and he just like,
Mhm,
this
exactly.
is how we execute this. This is how we do this. This is how we do that. He has his
Absolutely.
project managers with GoPros on their head. Right. And they're like literally
Yeah,
like, here, this is what we look for in tile work. This is what we look for in finished carpentry.
right.
This is what we need it to look like here. So I asked just for more like validation in the problem and how it really is a mindset. It's a commitment to recognizing the problem and knowing that it's going to take work and move in that right direction. And it's documentation. It's thinking about what are my employees doing and what do I need more individuals doing.
Yeah, and it's really those standards, right? You set everyone has these standards of the company, but like as a leader, you have
Mm-hmm.
to live them. And that in your responsibility as a leader is to put structure in, is to have responsibility and to have accountability. I mean, employees do not do well if they don't know what their expectations are, if they don't know what the consequences to those pieces are and what the accountability is. things get lost in the process. I always compare this
Yeah.
to Chick-fil-A, right? Like we love Chick-fil-A and we
Yeah,
base
yeah.
everything on Chick-fil-A at our
Great
company,
chain,
right?
great chain.
So because Chick-fil-A is amazing, right? And because when we go to Chick-fil-A, it doesn't matter where we go, which Chick-fil-A we go to, what state we go to, what anywhere, we're going to have a good experience. And if we don't have a good experience, Chick-fil-A is going to fix it within 5 minutes. So it's not a big deal, right? And the end is always good. Like you know it's going to be. Versus I went to Whataburger the other day and it was a total mess. Like it took forever. It was chaotic. I didn't even get my food. It was just like they seemed completely indifferent. And I think that's the purpose of having this is because if you have some people in your team that know the standards and process and they're following it, but then you don't have people following at the end or it's inconsistent, your client experience ends up being chaotic. So you might end up getting it done, but the client at the end is like, whew, I don't know if I want to work with them again. That was messy. That was hard. Right?
Totally.
And if you don't have a process down, you can't be a Chick-fil-A. You can't have the type of structure and you can't hire the right people because you don't know who you
100%.
need. You don't, and I think that's scary too. I've heard this too. Like people are scared to put some of these processes and accountability and those things down because they have a lot of people at their company and they're like, well, what if these people don't measure up? And it's like, yeah, but that's the whole purpose. Because if they don't measure up, that's the reason that your business is here and not here. Like one has to be at that standard. And that is scary.
On that thread, I want to hear your perspective on, I'm going to call them like hybrid employees, meaning like because like we work with like a lot of bookkeepers, a lot of administrative, a lot of office managers, a lot of people that are like, will be titled as a controller, but doing more administrative work. What's your perspective on small companies? I understand the necessity of hiring people that can wear multiple hats, but what is your point of view on the effectiveness with having these hybrid type employees that really don't have like a firm outline or expectation of what they need, but they're just there to get stuff done? Good or a bad thing?
So I think it works when you're beginning. I think when you're a startup company, it's always generalized, right? Like everyone's gonna wear a lot of different hats. But if you want to scale and you want to be niche and you want to be known, then you have to be able to have like core responsibilities for your people. Your people can't do everything, right? And it's the same thing with us. When we first started, everyone was doing everything, right? But now we have it pretty bucketed out, right? This is your core roles. These are your core roles. Or your core roles. I always think it's better to hire the right people for those roles and have them be very good at very specific things. And really, I mean, obviously, it might carry over a little bit, things happen, but find good people who are specialists in what the problem is.
And at what point is that reasonable, right? Because I think to your point, like if you're a startup company, you need a lot of generalists. Like you might not have everything predefined. You might be figuring out what needs to be the process. But at what point is it a timeline? Is it a revenue number? Is it a feel in the business? Like at what point should builders be looking at saying, I no longer need generalists. I no longer need jack of all trades. I no longer need someone wearing multiple hats. And I need to start looking at my organization a little bit more holistically and breaking this down into roles and starting to hire people that are exceptional in those roles.
I mean, I think it's all of it. I think it's when your business feels very vulnerable. When you have a lot of business and you have a lot going on and you, the owner, you, the leader, are having to not lead, you're having to do all the work. And you're having to manage all the little small things that are happening. I mean, it's just what it is. It's time to hire. Like you as a leader, your role is to not be in the business. And I know that's so hard, but you should not be project managing. You should not be managing everything. I mean, of course you're going to in some cases, but you need people who are dedicated to those pieces so that you can grow your business, so you can look for other opportunities, so you can deal with the big problems, the client issues. Because when you're having to deal with everything, what happens when the big issues come up? The client issues, the employee issues, when you need to hire people, someone leaves. Things happen, right? You have to be able to handle that piece. So that's what I would say. I mean, I think it's very dependent on the company, but to be honest with you, most of our clients, when they call us, they should have hired us 6 months ago.
And I mean, go ahead.
I mean, a year ago. I mean,
that's frankly like where I was getting at is like, to kind of my next question is, what is the first role that builders should be looking at hiring for so that they aren't getting consumed with all of it? Because if you think about it, it's like I'm a project manager at a custom home building company, right? And I've been a project manager for 10 years. And I finally have the guts or make the decision or whatever to go out and start my own company. It's going to be you in a truck getting jobs, remodels, projects, whatever to start. You're organically going to start at being the person that does everything. When you start to take on more projects, you start to take on more work, or you're just getting time consumed with running the back office and managing projects and winning work and managing client relations. Where should they start from a role standpoint, start looking at opening up their time?
Honestly, I would start with an administrative role, like an office manager role. You need to get all those little things off of your plate that are eating up your time. You need someone that can take on that capacity of all the little things. So an office manager, like there is no reason that any leader should be doing administrative work. Like that's the first thing you have to get off your plate. You should not be managing administrative pieces. You should have someone help you. The next role you really need help with is estimating. You need a good estimator that can estimate your jobs right and can, probably have relationships with sub vendors, understand sub vendors, and can talk to clients and be able to walk through that. That's number one. You need someone who's a very good estimator, because I know that most of the time the owners are doing all the estimating, but again, things get lost, things get mistaken, and that costs you a lot of money when things aren't estimated correctly.
Totally.
Right? I mean, it just does. So an estimator is very, very important, because that's your money. I mean, all the pre-construction piece. You need solid superintendents. You need really good superintendents who are going to be out in the field and making sure that things are being done the way they need to. Someone who is your point of contact that can be letting you know proactively what's going on. And you need project managers as well. But priority-wise, I would say get the office stuff off of your list. It's not that expensive to hire a good office manager. So hiring an office manager first, and then kind of moving yourself down, getting that estimating kind of off your plate, and then hiring project managers and superintendents. Honestly,
Totally.
all of it.
But I think from like a hierarchical standpoint, that makes a ton of sense. Like get the administrative stuff off your plate. And most commonly a business owner is going to be more of a bags on type operator, right? Like they love being in the field, they love building the product, they love delivering that. So that makes sense, right? Get the stuff that you're just racking your mind about, to get that off your plate in the office, make sure that that's running smoothly. Then get into the estimating side, so that then you can start making sure that your funnel is taken care of and your funnel is accurately getting taken care of, and you're able to make money on what's coming through the pipeline. And then get your superintendents, project managers on board to make sure that the volume, the byproduct of having the time from an administrator, the work is getting estimated appropriately, building your business, and now that product is getting consistently delivered. Makes a ton of sense.
Absolutely. But you need that front part first. You really do, because most clients want it the other way around. Like, well, I want a super. It's like, but you don't have anyone supporting you with estimating. You have no one supporting the office part. Like, who's going to handle that? Like, you're going to have to handle all of that. So, and honestly, I also tell clients, like, what do you hate doing in your business? And almost always it's administrative stuff. Like you said, most of them want to be in the field. They want to be with clients. They want to look at their creations. They're artists, they want to see what they're building. They're they're passionate about that. But the and it's the same with me. I hate administrative, right? Like I don't do it because I hate it. Like it's not what I'm good at. I mean, I make jokes with my people all the time. I'm like, oh, sorry, I messed that up. Because like, I don't know how to send this. Like, I'm like, can you send the Zoom? Like, I don't know. I said it wrong, like it's like, and that's okay, because I have people that can support that. So yeah, you got to do things I mean, obviously you're going to have to do things within a business you don't always love, but the things you really hate, you should try to get off your plate.
Totally. Okay, that was great. I think to kind of go back to a comment that you made earlier of like, you are the business owner that doesn't have clear expectations, doesn't have SOPs, doesn't have a clear outline for what the team needs to be doing. It creates chaos. That chaos creates a culture that is going to drive the people that are keeping the wheels on the track out of the organization. That's like anyone would look at that and be like, oh, like just dagger to the heart. My best employee just left me. Right. And it's like, you might not always get that exit interview where they tell you very directly. Right. And it's like, I left because honest answer. I left because it was
Yeah,
chaotic. I left because I was tired of doing the work of 5 different people and no one else, right?
absolutely.
What is the cost of that to a business, of losing a good employee? And
Oh,
I'm just going to be variable, right?
I mean, they say like, I mean, I guess it depends. Like, I mean, the truth is if you bring someone, let's say you bring someone in, you take the time to train them properly and all those kind of things. I mean, you're really not recouping anything in 18 months, right?
Yeah.
A year to 18 months, really the cost of them. But like, let's say you're leaving someone of 5 years. I mean, that can cost you $150,000 for that 18 months that you're not recouping any costs, 125, 150. That is absolutely
Right.
even more. And then the cost, and we have this all the time. We've had candidates who are clients who have these guys who like they were with them for 5 years. Everything seemed fine, and then one day they just want to resign, and they had no idea they were even upset. That is going to cost you $200,000 plus because that person is probably doing multiple jobs. And we hear them on the other side because we
Right.
talk to the candidates, right? So when when we're going after candidates, we're like, why do you want to leave? And it's not money. I mean, people think it's money, but it's not. Yeah, I mean, of course, there's always an aspect of I want to make more money, but it's like I don't feel appreciated. I'm doing the job of 3 people. So and so is getting promoted. He's the loudest in the room. I'm quiet. I do my job, and no one even notices. I get no recognition at all. I'm the one holding it all together. All those things could happen, and then so yeah, I mean, it ends up and it's going to end up costing you more money because what you paid for that person when they first came in and what their capacity is. It could be, we have time for clients who are like, oh, I want a superintendent for $100,000. We're like, no, that level of superintendent is going to cost you $150,000 plus.
Right.
Plus, and then, I mean, so it's like the costs are so astronomical of losing people, good people. It is. And not only that, it's when you lose good people, you lose other good people.
Totally. And where do you, again, it's like, you could just like tie it to like the A players are going to want to associate with A players, and then one A player leaves and the other one's like, they're feeling the burn because that person's gone. And now, is it as simple as that? Or do you think that it's more of like when a good person leaves, the others on the team see the writing on the wall, or that was like enough of a motivation for them to leave? What do you think really drives that trickle effect?
Yeah, I think again, it's fear. And this happens all the time. We see this with like companies that were like, we have a client once, we go with their competitors, and then one person leaves, we pull someone, and then the next person's like, huh, is there something going on? Why did that person leave? And then it just creates like this momentum around like, and it's the same way the other way. If you're a really value-based company and people are really happy, then you're attracting those people as well, right? So it's just, I always say if it's law of attraction, it's all energy, right? So if the energy in your business is contracting because you don't have the right people and because you don't have the right process and the good people are leaving or the qualified people, then other people are going to leave. I mean, they wouldn't stay. It just gives them a reason to leave.
I mean, and that's where like I wanted you to get into the cost of it, and like the 12 to 18 months of $150,000 fully burdened cost employee is like, that's a really big deal on its own. And then you start to take into consideration like how fast you can derail the entire organization. It's like would you say like that's where like builders start to fail? It's like, I mean, we're talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, it's just like, and it's so much, and it's not even that. Like the worst, the scary, and this happened with us too. Like, I mean, we've had people. I had someone it wasn't the right match for our organization that was in a leadership role, and and after this person left, like, and I'm not blaming this person because I wasn't a good leader.
So this is in your organization. This is one of your clients. Okay.
Yes, in our organization, we had someone that was in a leadership role, and they had been with us kind of from the beginning. And then as we expanded, they didn't match what our expectations were, the standards. So I demoted that person, but it didn't really work out well when I demoted him, right? So then they ended up leaving, and it wasn't a bad ending. But then after this person left, seeing kind of how messy it was, like really how messy everything was underneath the hood, like things were not good. And then also people were not telling me things. There were divisions within my organization with the other leaders. People were upset. I had no idea this person was, I had no idea. Like I did not know because I was so busy and just assumed everything was going well, kind of sticking my head in the sand. And I liked this person on a very personal level. And I think that's another important piece. It's like, but I have to
Mhm.
serve the business. And like, that's hard, right? So I think it's not just the financial part. It is like the mess that has been left behind that you have
I
to
love
undo.
that you shared the story, because I think that's where you get into the application of it. It's not just construction, it's truly any business. What created that divisive culture, right? That what created the you weren't hearing things and you had no idea how like cluttered and messy it was? Because I think your answer there will add a lot of clarity for the listeners to pick up on those things. Because I can only imagine, I actually know for a fact that that's how it works in construction companies too.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I just
Hmm.
got very busy and I didn't have processes. I mean, full disclosure, I didn't have the processes down. Like
Hmm.
it was all in my head. My
Hmm.
training was terrible. When the person came in, I didn't train them very well. They were kind of thrown into
Hmm.
like a shark tank. They did their best. And I didn't have expectations. I didn't have performance reviews. I mean, I know that I'm the reason that this person stayed as long as they did or wasn't as successful because I wasn't leading from a
Hmm.
place of truth, hiding truth. I was scared to say the truth. I didn't want to upset this person. I had too much of a personal feeling around it. I didn't like conflict. And then I also, the people in my team didn't feel safe to share that with me. So that's a
Hmm.
reflection on me. So it was a big deal. Like I had to really look at myself and be like, okay, who am I as a leader? Like that's not how I want to show up. So ever since then, we had
Yeah,
to change everything, like process, structure. We had to have time for realness, truth. I had to listen to everyone. I mean, it was a lot of humility on my part. And the thing is, the person that left, they were not. They were a good employee. They had good values. It wasn't like they just weren't ready for that next level, and I hadn't
hmm,
prepared them for it, right? And so that was really on
yeah,
me ultimately. And so that's on you as the leader. Like you have to create safety for your people. You have to have structure. You have to have handbooks. You have to have standards and you have to be talking about it all the time. That is part of it. It's just like you have to be talking about your core values. You have to live them. You have to have truth. You can't hide away from hard conversations. And I think that's what I also did. I would do is that when things would get hard, I would sort of escape. Like I
hmm,
didn't want to look at it. You also can't be chaotic. You can't be reactive as well. You can't like a problem happens and you're screaming at everyone and you're freaking out and you're changing everything. And that's confusing for people too. So, I mean, more than anything else, if you're a leader, you need to work on your nervous system. You need to work on your nervous system. You need to work on your emotional regulation. How you show up at home is probably how
yep,
you show up at work too. So you need to understand your attachment styles. I know this sounds crazy, but it really you show like it's not like we do it on purpose. We're human
yeah.
beings. We're messy sometimes. Emotions are messy. We get reactive, but you have to be able to stand in the fire and not bring chaos into your organization and whatever that looks like. And you got to make really hard decisions for your business that people may not like.
Totally. Again, I applaud you for the self-awareness and the ownership. And I think that that is a part of the small business world, right? The entrepreneur world is like you start this thing with really strong traits, really strong skills. And everyone wants to be the owner, right? I say like everyone wants to be the CEO, right?
Right.
Until you really understand
Right.
what that means, right? Then it's
Yes.
just like, okay, well, do you want the status and the upside, or do you actually want what that means? And having that reality check, having the self-awareness, having the humility to take the ownership, to really sit down and get to learn
Mhm.
and own your organization, and take the fault for it, the blame for it. I think just another piece here, like tactically, like this could be what you advise clients on, what you've seen in your experience, but like tactically, how do you prevent yourself from being a leader or an owner with your team that creates a I don't get the whole story culture, or I'm not looking within the business? What have you done? Like, is this like weekly check-ins? Is this one-on-ones? Is this like
Yeah, we do. I mean, we're very
okay?
EOS focused. So we don't have EOS, but we
Hmm.
use that framework. So we have leadership meetings every week and it's all self-reporting activity. We discuss that as a team and we look at the trends just to make sure that we understand that the right activity, and this is the true with everyone, the right activity is going to create the right results. So we're always looking at that right activity. Ultimately, our goal is to fill positions. I mean, let's be honest, like we have to fill positions or we don't have a business. So what are the right activities that we're doing that? We talk about problems within that space. We collaborate a lot within that space, and we do it every week. And we also have quarterly executive meetings where we kind of talk about things, but there's a lot of accountability. Yeah, there's a lot. We have an applicant tracking system now that tracks everything, all the data. You have to be able to have data. You have to be able to have reporting. So we have to track everything. We track all of our phone calls. I mean, it's not easy to do these things, but the other side of it is like, it's completely chaotic. Like, then it's like everyone's just making something up. And it's like, oh, I think this, or I think, but no, it doesn't. We need to know facts. We need truth. I tell everyone, we need truth. Like, I want truth, but I want truth, but not on emotion, truth on facts, on reports, on results. So if I feel like if this is like, you have to know what's going on with your people. You have curiosity with your people. You have to be able to ask them really good questions. And this is something I've had to learn as well, is I can be bossy.
Sure.
I can be bossy. And so I always think my way is the right way, right? And that's something I've had to learn, is that my way is not always the right way. And I have to be able to ask questions and curiosity as to why they want to do it a different way. And now I feel like we're in a place now where we have such truth, we have such openness, we have positive conflict, and we have conflict, and that's okay too, right? But we do it in a way that's very emotionally mature. I mean, I'm someone who works with the energetics. I mean, I do meditations with my group. I'm very like, I encourage them to take breaks. I encourage them to get into their, like, to move into their body. Like, cause I say, like, clients and candidates, it's stressful. Looking for a new job is stressful. Looking for people is stressful. We have to be the calm in the storm. Because if we're in the storm, we're just going to bring more chaos in. So that's like a leader has to be. They have to be this calm in the storm. They can't bring more storm into the storm.
You've got to be able to like protect your team from the storm so that they can do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Just going back to the data piece, like, I mean, that's like obviously a lot of what we talk about at Adaptive, right? Is just like the clarity and the ability for that data.
Yes.
But it's really hard for that data, whether it's an applicant tracking system or it's a financial ops tool or it's a project management software or a CRM or whatever it is, if you don't have the process, if you don't have the expectations, right? It's like impossible for you to get any meaningful data for your team to report on and be held accountable to if you don't know what it is.
Right. And if you don't know why you need to have that, right? Like, what, I mean, you have to be able to have, like my business partner always says, is that the data has to be able to create what we're looking for. Like, is it placements, time for us, right? It's placements, how much activity, whatever it might be, but you have to have a structure of what those things you're wanting to accomplish in for the data. If not, you just buy systems to systems. And what does that mean?
There we go. My light went off. I had to wave.
No, I mean, and I love y'all's system. I mean, I know you and I briefly spoke about it in Omaha, but I love that you're providing that for clients, because that is a huge piece. It saves them. And I think that's the other piece. Like, why do leaders feel like they have to do everything? You're not going to do everything. And like, and I don't do everything. Like, there's some things we don't do in-house, right? And that's the other thing. You need to hire experts in those parts that are so important. Money and people. Those are like,
that's a lot of it. Totally. And that's where like we're seeing at Adaptive, like a huge shift. We were literally just talking about it from the leadership standpoint of like, what do we see on the construction horizon from a business standpoint? And you see a lot of business owners taking this stuff more seriously. The processes, the systems, the right people, the job descriptions, the data on their business. And it's a huge shift, and it's great to see. And I think this is such a powerful conversation from a human resource, human capital, recruiting employee conversation, because I'm always trying to find out for the builder that's at the starting block, whether it's someone who's literally just starting or someone who's been in business for 10 years, who's just been running it by a thread. that's ready to take it seriously.
Yes.
What are things that you can do as a business owner to start taking a step back and saying, this is step one? Like, this is what I need.
And well, and go back to your point, like around the trend, we're seeing this as well. And I think it's because you're seeing a lot of businesses being taken over by sons
Next
or other
generation.
people
Yep.
within the organization, and they are different. Like I talk to them all the time. They're like, I want to be able to go on vacation. I mean, I don't know how they did this, like without any structure. I think the first piece is that you need to sit down and you need to decide what the standards for your business are. You need to sit down and write down what those standards are. And what are those standards that next company needs to be like? And I mean, really feeling it. Like for us, our standards, I guess, we have fun, but we have truth. These are us, right? Like curiosity. What is it that makes your company that first pillar, right? And start building that out first. Really start thinking about who you guys really are. And really what those standards really look like, or hire us to help you.
And I frankly, like, I just to like plug you for sure is like, so at Adaptive, so I was the first business hire. Okay. So it was literally like a team of co-founders, software engineers, and I got brought in to help them sell this thing. And when we there were no core principles, right? There was just like a seed round, product that's getting built and people trying to sell it, right? Like it was like just to empathize with the listener, right? It's not like before I start my business, right?
No, it's not.
And we did an exercise at our very first offsite, which like we got on our entire team together. We were in Dallas, like we sat in the room and we're like, this is where we stake the flag. This is where we build our principles. This is what we do. And we sat down and we spent probably an hour and a half on this exercise, 2 hours. And at the end of it, we felt like, all right, these are our principles. Is what it, and none of it really meant anything. It didn't stick. We weren't like collectively into it. We went through another exercise. It was more thoughtful, more collaborative with the team, explaining what the brand was, explaining how we operate, what's important to the organization. And it took like weeks to do. Thinking, being thoughtful. And now we've got like bring the sledgehammer, assists are better than points, solve for the long term, care about your customer, right? Absolutely. And those are all things on a weekly basis when we do our all hands, we're talking about it. We're giving shout outs to individuals that are exemplifying those principles. Yes. And that's where I think whether you hire Cherry Group or you sit down with your team and you start to like get this roadmap down with the principles, it's like what makes XYZ home builder or XYZ contractor special and differentiated, and how you're going to be holding people to that standard moving forward.
Yeah. What really makes you guys unique? What is your unique offering? And that's your values. And then, and I always use this verbiage, and this is what I was saying to our people is like, how do we want to operate? Let's like talk about like, not the way we're operating now. Cause like, what's the way that we want to operate? What would be ideal? And let's build it around that.
Totally. Yeah.
Let's build it the way that we ideally feel like, and obviously, and I think to your point too, Reece, I mean, look, this is a moving target. This isn't an absolute, right? And you're not far behind the curve either, because we do it because like, this is what we're a people business, right? So I can't be selling people business to people and not doing it myself. So like, it just doesn't work. That's my standard, right? We're truth-based. So I have to be honest and like, this is what we have. And we have to build that for us. But I think a lot of times people think that they're behind and like they're the only ones experiencing this. But I'm going to tell you, we talk to hundreds and hundreds of companies. Yeah. You're not behind. It's not, it's just, it hasn't been the trend. And now people are recognizing this is what has to be.
100%. And I think that social media has been a really strong player in shifting this trend. I think people like, Mark Williams and Nick Schiffer, Brad Levitt, Morgan Molitor, Tyler Grace, all those guys that have like really strong followings and have like really been pioneers in how to run a healthy business. They'll sit down and tell you the same thing. Like their business is not perfect and they're constantly learning. But I think like the more you get involved in, I guess this is a plug for Contractor Coalition Summit, but not really. It's more so to paint the picture that like you can be in business for 10 years and be like scraping by and just feeling the stress and literally flip a switch. And if you do need the community, if you do need the support, just look at them, look at the businesses, go to these events, get involved, and understand that there's a very large pocket of builders that are looking at running a business, not just monetizing a hobby, as I put it. Right.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm a big believer in the groups as well. I mean, obviously, I was there and just seeing, and I work with
Mm-hmm.
all of them,
Yeah.
they're all of our clients. And so, they have outstanding companies.
Yeah.
I mean, they truly do. Like Brad's company is
Yeah.
outstanding, outstanding, and they have it
Mm-hmm.
down really well. And he follows it to a T, and he does a great job. Morgan as well. We've been helping Morgan with some stuff. She's got a lot of things. We're just helping her kind of put the final touches. And that's the other thing. I mean, you can have all the things and you still want to go to the next level, right? You want to get that HRS system in. You want to get more process in. You want more structure. Even just refining it even more. There's never a stopping point to it. It's like you just have to start.
Totally. You have to start, and you have to give yourself the grace to know that it's going to be a constant
Yes.
work in progress. And any progress that you make, whether it yields results or not, is good progress, because that's where it creates the fork in the road. And if you can hold yourself accountable and have the self-awareness to say, like, look, we put this into place. We thought this was our North Star metric and this is where we were going. It was wrong, but now we know where to pivot and go to. And now we're already thinking in the wavelength of building and documenting and holding people accountable, that you can start to see
Absolutely.
execution a lot faster.
I mean, you got to make mistakes. I mean, if you don't make mistakes, you can't shift. I mean, and I think that's a very funny thing. What you said is so true, is that you come in as a CEO, I'm the president, and you have this idealistic idea of how it's going to go. And then before you know, like, what does Elon Musk say? Like, it's like drinking glass
It's like
as
eating
an
glass and
entrepreneur.
staring into the abyss.
Drinking
Yeah.
glass,
Yeah.
you're eating glass, right? And it's really like that, right? And you're like, wow. You see those funny reels of the time where like people or the entrepreneurs are like throwing themselves in traffic, or they're doing this, checking. And it really is that way sometimes. I mean, that's the truth. It really is. It's unknown. You have to make hard decisions. You don't know everything. But that's why it's so, I'm just gonna plug us for a second. You guys, us, or whoever, that's why you need support. That's why you shouldn't have to do everything yourself. And I know it's scary, the investment and having to get that support, but I'm telling you that is how you grow your business, when you have that support of people who can take that off your plate, so you can do the things you enjoy doing, honestly, in the business.
You want to know what makes that investment more palatable? Knowing your numbers, financial clarity. And no, that's a stupid little plug, but 100%, you should be down. Like, when you're starting, like, I don't think as like a business owner, you should be looking at this as like, how much of our gross margin can I personally be taking home, until you start to get into the position of like, okay, we're going to go out, and every 150, $200,000 that we're netting on this, we can dump back into this person. When you have the process, when you have the plan, when you have the vision, that's now what you're working towards. And then you're like, you've got it in place to where it's like, okay, we hit our goals. We've got the profit. Let's dump it into this person, because we know that's going to be the most impactful next person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, we've moved into executive recruiting. So we have done more like project managers, superintendent, estimators. It's kind of our bread and butter, and designers, those kind of things. So we've recently, and I'm running it. So we recently opened an executive side with obviously the price point is higher, but it's a much more consultative experience. It's much more, I'm involved. It's a lot more interviews with directors and those kind of things. And it's scary for like, but because it's an investment, a pretty large investment to bring in a COO, or, a number two, right? An integrator. But it's like, they're ready for the next level, the clients that we're working with, because they have been growing an incredible business. They have the processes, they have the systems. And now the owners are like, okay, I'm ready for this to not be me anymore. I don't want to be in all the meetings. I don't want to be in every single thing. I want to focus on this part. I want to focus on growing this side. And so then bringing that person in, it is an investment, but like, it's a capacity. It's like the right investment, but you don't start with that, right? Start with the office manager.
Start with the office manager, get your estimator, and then hire your SOPs. Yeah. You don't need workers. You need capacity.
No, you need capacity.
Yeah.
I know.
You have to. Okay. I love it. This has been highly impactful. I think there's a lot of really good tactical takeaways for the audience here. And I think that this is a very applicable conversation to be having, especially with all the labor shortages that happen, how nuanced construction is, how
Mhm.
important it is to get the right
Mhm.
individuals in the seat, knowing the cost that will hurt your organization if you don't do it the right way. So Suman, I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your perspective.
No,
Thank you for
thank
being
you.
on.
It's fun.
Where can the listeners find you to follow your content, explore what you provide, maybe get in
Yeah.
contact? Where can they find you?
My our website is
Cherry, like the
cherrytalentgroup.com.
fruit.
I'm all over LinkedIn, like the fruit,
Great.
cherrytalentgroup.com. But really, I'm all over LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Like, I'm all over LinkedIn. Suman Cherry, yeah, all of our content's there. Our Cherry Talent Group page, we have a lot of the referrals and what we've worked on, the types of
Mhm.
positions we're working on. We post most of those out there. And then I think we're going to be offering something that's going to be coming up soon where we want to help clients. Want to offer something like around like letting them know kind of what their people think about them. So employee
Mhm.
surveys and stuff, we're going to be offering that
Love it.
at no cost. Just companies to be able to really understand kind of what their people really think about their business. So that'll be something we'll be rolling out probably this
That's
before the end of the
awesome.
year. So
Huge resource.
yeah,
That's really the starting block for this conversation is like, what are we working with today? I love it. I
right,
love it.
right.
Everybody, you got to check out Suman and the Cherry Talent Group team. Cool. Well, I appreciate you. Thanks for spending the time. I'll let you get back to your week. And again, the old
Thank
Midwestern
you.
goodbye. Thanks again for coming. All right. See you,
Thank you
Suman.
so much.